Find yourself a booth, order up a cold one. This is the Spring Bar.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Spring Bar. Glad to have you here. I am Florida Mike, and today we are going to step out of our comfort zone. We're talking current events, which we're really not known for. We're gonna uh, select a few of the probably more controversial new watch releases and just give our unpopular opinions about them and see how this goes.
Unknown opinions.
As always, I'm joined by my co-host, the one, the only, the sleepy Joe
Oh,
O'Neill.
it's a slow morning, but it is literally morning. It's 8:30 here, so it's early. We normally do this well into the afternoon, and it's
We give you plenty of opportunity to wake up and adjust and people eyes, and we're kind
forcing my hand.
of well, I'm not. Your other commitments today are forcing your hand.
I got things to do.
Yeah.
Somebody couldn't record on Sunday, so here we are.
Adulting must take place.
Adulting must take place.
And that is why we're doing this early. We do these are the sacrifices we make for you, the audience.
You. All 10 of you.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. So you were at a wedding last night. How'd that go?
I was at a wedding. I had two former students get married. They met in my program. They got married. They've been dating for a while, and it was fun. It was really kind of neat. Nice venue. Everybody looked great. Had a lot of fun. Open bar. Highly recommend.
You were at a venue.
Yeah.
What you just told me, in which you, not specifically, but you, the guests, were told not to jump off the second floor balcony into the pool.
Yeah.
Now I feel like,
yeah,
just like there's signs telling you not to do things, that is in place for a reason.
Well, it wasn't so much that there was a sign, and it wasn't so much it was necessarily a balcony ish. It was sort of a raised area up overlooking the pool, and the place was kind of up on a hill, so you could see the sunset and you could see the pool. And I think it was probably a good 10 feet up, but then 10 feet away from the pool. So I was scoping it out, and I think that if I had run along the railing, I could have made it into the deep end because it was kind of shallow over where the stairs were. And then, you might have you could have hit the jacuzzi. I mean, the logistics were.
Well, okay.
I think if I'd had more to drink, I could have figured it out better.
Here's my concern. We've all seen your math skills on screen here. They are not all that good. Geometry, it requires a lot of math.
No. The geometry just requires more faith.
Oh, okay.
Is that what it is? Yeah, just more faith. You'll be okay.
That's where the alcohol comes in.
Yes.
It gives you all that faith. All right. Oh man, Halloween just passed. How did that go?
I was at a football game.
Oh, so you were at a football game?
We had our last home football game.
Oh, okay.
On a Thursday, on Halloween.
Interesting.
It was massively. I couldn't believe that we were doing anything like that, and that's the way that got scheduled. So my wife, my child went and did Halloween in their own separate ways, and I went to a freaking football game.
So your son, does he do trick-or-treating still? Does he go door to door?
Free candy? Come on.
Okay. Does he go with you guys still?
Oh, no. Oh,
no? Okay. How old is he?
13.
13. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. My daughter is 16 this year. And when you factor in all the years that I've been raising children and trick-or-treating, I've been trick-or-treating for 20 years. This is the first year that
you were not invited.
No, not that we're not invited. She just didn't go anymore. It just
that's interesting.
No more trick-or-treating. Nothing like that. She went to the Universal Studios does the Halloween Horror Nights.
Okay.
So she went to that. But did the first year in 20 years that I have not gone out trick or treating with the
See,
kid.
there is nothing preventing you from going on your own.
Well, I feel like, say,
Nope.
I'm entering a creepy phase there.
You definitely, it's definitely a creepy phase, but like if you go late, you go like 9:30, you can clean everybody out. Bring a couple of
Okay. All
pillow
right.
cases, and they'll just dump it all in. And you'll be good to go.
That said,
You won't need to get candy next year. You just hang on to it, put it in a drawer.
in the age in which I am, I'm in bed by 9 or 9:30. I am
That's
not
true.
going trick or treating.
That's true. I mean, you could also you always get the mask, and then nobody will know, and it'll work out fine.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll be okay. You can make it
So
work. I have faith.
a little sad this year. A little sad. So it went out um, to a very popular downtown area near where I live here, and all the kids were out, and they were all in costume, and everybody was trick or treating at the local businesses and things like that, and they were having fun, and so just kind of watched, all the happiness without really taking part in it this year. So I guess, my daughter is 16, probably got to wait maybe another 16 years before she has kids of her own, and then you start all over again with the grandkids, maybe. So
If you're involved, yeah. If she's around, you never know, man. You never know. That's an interesting one.
yeah.
My son's been going off on his own for the last couple years, so like we haven't gone as a family in a while, which is
Well,
okay.
and see, that's the conversation that I had. So somebody told me, well, you're lucky that she still went with you for all these years, because at that age, I definitely wouldn't be trick or treating with my parents.
Yeah,
And so we stretched it as far as we could, and I guess age 16 was the limit.
16 that's the cutoff.
That's yeah. When she can get in her car and drive away, I
Yeah,
guess.
right.
So we have no choice. Well, moving on. What are you drinking? What are you wearing? It's early, so
Oh,
I'm curious to
I'm
see what you got
done.
in the
I'm
glass.
done with my tea. I'm out of tea.
Okay.
And today is it's a bull of a quartz. It's on that cuff you gave me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let me get the image here. You know this one. And it's on this cuff. It's a really interesting. It's like a three-piece cuff. So the part that attaches to the lugs, it slides a little bit. It's nice. It
Yeah.
works. It works really well on this watch. I like it. I got to pull the
What's
movement out of this one though.
let me see the watch again now that I have it big on the screen. Oh, okay, you got that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that actually doesn't look bad on there.
No, it really doesn't. It works.
Yeah,
It works really well.
because you had tried a few different straps, and you had that one on like a weird rubber strap, I think, for a
That's the,
while.
that's the other one. That's the 660. It's still on that strap. I like that strap on that watch.
So that's a different watch.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
okay,
is, this is a 666 real simple quartz.
gotcha.
Basic dial, almost nothing to it.
Oh, and
It's a good grab and go.
I just remembered what your new watch alert is now. That
Oh,
you're
there you go.
discussing these things. Yeah,
Oh, look at that. I jogged your memory.
You did. So you finished your tea. Does that mean you have nothing in front of you? Is this the first episode, 77 episodes, and you have nothing? So what's it?
I have an empty glass.
Well, you gotta have something, Joe. Do we need to pause?
Uh, no, we don't need to pause. Why don't you go? You talk.
Even if it's water, something.
I'll go boil some water.
Boil some water.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, okay. Well, now that we're alone, viewers, um, I am wearing, I'll take it off here too. I don't have a fancy second camera set up, and I don't have a picture of it in the drive to show you, but everybody's seen this one before. This is, what year is this? 1971. This is the Caravel answer to the Omega Dynamic, I guess is what we're kind of describing this watch as.
Yeah, it's that weird case shape too.
Yeah, the UFO case shape. This is I guess you could call it dual signed, the Caravel de Bulova. So it has
Oh, that's one. Yeah.
that Spanish market extra
Yeah.
stamp in a completely different font, so it wasn't factory done. And I wish I knew the story behind this. And not that long ago, somebody had a 665 Sea Hunter that has the same De Bulova stamp on the dial.
Yeah.
And he said, found something rare, don't really know much about it. And
Yeah.
I sent him picture of this one and said, "Hey, I've got the same kind of stamp. Don't really know much about it, but for a Hispanic market somewhere." And he said that several people had sent him in pictures. So there was probably 4 or 5 people that sent him pictures that all have the same stamp on it. So I'm
That's
curious as
interesting.
to,
That's interesting. I'm
the
surprised that
story
that.
behind.
I wonder if it was the same importer.
I don't know.
Huh.
Maybe. I don't know. It's very weird.
Well, what are you
But
drinking?
I have a mug full of Snickers coffee. And let me tell you, it sounds weird, but man, is this actually delicious. This is the Keurig branded donut shop Snickers coffee pod, and it tastes exactly. I got a little bit of Italian sweet cream in here. It's really delicious. All right, Joe,
All right.
let's get into the controversial topic that is us discussing
You
up
don't
to the minute.
you don't want to see my new watch?
Oh, we did skip new watch stuff, didn't we? What do you got? I have something new too, but it's not a watch.
I got this.
Yeah, I see, and I
Uh-huh.
remember that now.
Right. So oceanographer 666, awful gold plating.
Uh-huh.
It's flaking off. The loom is mostly shot on the dial. It works, but
I can see it running.
yeah, the crown comes all the way off, and it's a West German movement. So that's kind of new and different. I've,
That'll probably be the same movement that's in the Sea Devil,
somebody was asking me that, and I
the
don't.
the Fume dial Sea Devil, not the
Yeah,
one that you've got.
yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if it is because it's a screw down crown, and
Yeah,
so
that doesn't matter.
I don't know if that's how the pusher is going to work because
That's just it's a spring-loaded crown. It's separate from the stem.
well, right, but it's still a screw down crown, so that means that you if you screw it in, it's going.
It's
I
a
don't know. I don't know.
it's a spring-loaded crown.
This is not a spring loaded crown. This is a screw down crown.
Yeah, I get that,
Okay,
Joe. It's okay.
you
Trust
say that.
science. Trust science.
I'm fine with science, and I can take geometry on faith, but I'm skeptical of. Anyway,
Anyways,
anyway.
so what are you going to do with that? I'm curious because, like you said, the gold plating is horrendous on that.
Yeah,
Are you going to have it plated?
maybe. I don't know. I'm not even remotely there yet. I've got the project watches that are with our former man from Japan,
Hmm.
and I want to get those back. This one it also like seems like the crystal got melted, or at least
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a weird
it's like
spot.
there has to be a story involved in this watch. I have no idea what it is. We'll see. We'll see. It's just me being a completist and trying to get all of the 666 dials. So
Hmm.
someday.
So you have Lady 666 watches.
Uh-huh.
How interested are you in getting the Lady O compressor like what I have?
Not very. It
And
doesn't.
you call yourself a completist.
Well, yeah,
But
but I don't want to get all of the ladies' watches. Yeah,
it's a 666.
but I. Well, yeah, there's other brands that have 666 on them, and I'm not interested in those either.
Well, I'm not talking about other brands. I'm talking about
Okay,
Bulova. Bulova 666. I thought that's what you were about.
it is
Bulova
what I'm
666
about.
watch.
I'm not ready to
Uh,
even remotely get into the ladies' versions yet.
It's what you're partly about then.
Okay,
Okay.
if you say so.
Just giving you a hard time.
Look, man, I've set my parameters. I'm trying to fill that box. So
Okay. All right.
talking.
Anything else new? Is that it?
That's all I got.
That's it. Okay. I've got something new that is not a watch. And oh man, now that I've hold on, how do I? Oh, here we go. Because I'm split screening my computer screen, my usual button to share my screen is okay. Here we go.
Okay.
I got this.
So is that the brochure? What is that?
So this is, I had it here in front of me. This is from January 1971. It says Catalog Volume 4. From what I can tell, this is the brochure that you would get if you had interest in attending the Joseph Bulova School of Watchmaking.
Ah,
And I've
so
got
it's
a
the
couple
ad.
of, kind of, I guess, like, look at it. It tells you the course costs to kind of break it down as far as,
$120 a month. Wow.
yeah. Well, that's for room and board.
Yeah.
Yeah. But your basic watch repair, look at junior watch repair, precision technician. They break it down into monthly payments and everything, and registration fees, lab fees, so refunds. I mean, it's
That's
pretty
amazing.
interesting. And then this is the other side, introduction to the course outline, and it's just probably a dozen and a half pages of just talking about what you can expect.
Here's what we do. That's cool.
Yeah. And we've never really seen the insights of how the school looks today. So I'm wondering how this all compares to what the
That
labs and
looks
stuff look like
larger
now.
compared to what they've got going on there. They don't have as many classrooms, I don't think.
And
Currently,
that's
I
kind of
know
what
that
I'm
they've got
thinking.
some, people at Vortic has donated a building, and I know that Bulova has donated some money and parts as well. So they've been changing stuff around. But I know that the place is definitely a work in progress, and now that they're getting into doing a lot more servicing, I imagine that they're going to be building out and having to put together a service center, having to have all of the equipment to go with the service center.
Yeah, I'll probably. Um, you might be surprised to know. So remember, oh, was it a week ago? There was somebody on eBay that had a bunch of NOS bezels, Bulova bezels, and
Yeah,
you tried bidding on them,
yeah,
of which they went for ridiculous prices.
yeah,
What was it? An Oceanographer V bezel for 290 something dollars. There was
yeah. In
a
the
G
last
bezel
30,
that went
not even the
for,
last 30 seconds, it was like in the last 3 seconds, it went
yeah,
from
a
30.
G bezel went for
Yeah,
about the same. There was some other NOS Bulova bezels.
yeah, there was a lot.
Um, but the same seller had this catalog for sale.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and
Didn't
it
go for
was,
$200.
didn't go for $200. No, not even not even a percentage of that. It all in to my door with eBay taxes, fees, deliveries, shipping, and all that kind of stuff. I paid $13 for this little catalog.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know what I'll do with it, but it's just a cool piece of history,
Isn't that
because
kind of entertaining?
it's not the Veterans Watchmakers Initiative. It's the original Joseph Bulova School of Watchmaking catalog. So that's kind of cool. So I don't know. Maybe I'll frame it. I'll do something with it. Maybe when I'm in Miami, I'll give it to Michael and he can put it in the museum if he so chooses, or maybe he gives it to the school and they
Could be, but I'm willing to bet they've got a
put it in a
couple.
case or something. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So I don't
Well,
know. But
put it in
it's
the.
just, that cool piece of history to just kind of hang on to for a little bit.
All right.
So that's what I got that's new. No new watches though.
No, no, what? Oh
No.
well. All
I
right.
may
Well,
be, dare I say, I may be done for the year. I don't know.
uh-huh. Okay.
Good. Okay. You don't buy that story, huh?
I
All
don't buy.
right.
I don't buy that story. I believe there will be some new releases coming out this month. So, yeah.
Good. Well, whether or not I can afford them, that's the other question.
Well, that's on you.
Yeah, perhaps.
Sell that Yema, and we'll see.
Trying.
We'll get into that. All right.
Please,
So,
yeah.
what are we talking about today?
Um, we're just doing kind of current event things, picking up a few of these more recent, I guess you can call them controversial watches, and just giving our takes on them.
Controversial. All right.
Controversial, like the Patek Cube watch. We'll just call it that.
The Cubitus.
Cubitus, the
Cubit.
cheese cube, the charcuterie watch.
There's something. Anyway, all right. What do you?
Yeah.
What's your what? What do you got?
Well, here, let me, because I've got pictures, so let me throw this up on the screen here.
We got three versions. There's a what? What is that? Is that a chronograph or is it a perpetual date?
It's a perpetual calendar, moon phase,
Big date
sub-seconds. Yeah.
sucker. Okay, so it's a moon phase. I this has been
First
kind of
off,
it's been a divisive watch.
let's address the elephant in the room, which is the design.
Okay.
I described it when this watch first came out as somebody took the Nautilus and ran a rolling pin over it a couple of times, and this is what they ended up with.
Well, it's also like it's like what was the first iteration of the Nautilus? Maybe one of the pre-production or prototypes, and that it might have been that. This so this watch, there's been a couple of comparisons that I've seen that I agree with, where somebody took calipers to this and then also to like a 5711.
Mhm.
And by the numbers, they're nearly identical. The lug to lug is about the same. The width is about the same. The height is about the same. All of that's about the same. However,
Mhm.
they do not wear anywhere close to the same by the people that have tried them on. And the square just wears so much larger than the Nautilus shape. And that's part of the issue, I think, because and we all know this, like square watches wear big, and it's because you've got all of that extra space that's up around 10 and 2.
Well, you're just pushing the dimensions to every corner.
Right. And
Yeah.
so you have to have the real estate, and so you don't see a lot of square watches that pull it off really really well. I mean, when you start getting down to it, you've got the Santos, you've got the Monaco. um Brew has got a couple. That's kind of it. But I mean, really, when you start looking at the Apple Watch is more oblong,
Mm.
and all of the tanks, and most of what Cartier has done has always been a little bit oblong, and they have a different sort of shape. Another complaint that I hear about it, and I get it, I don't know if I agree with it, but I get it, is that it's a Nautilus bracelet essentially, and they didn't,
It's exactly the same thing.
so they didn't take the impetus to try and redesign the bracelet that would better match the case shape, I guess.
Well, and that's, I think, the biggest controversy and complaint about this watch, because it's been what, 20 years since they've had a completely newly designed model,
Something like that.
and this is the best they could come up with.
Well, it's not for the haters. Remember,
Well, it's not.
you'll
And
probably
that's
never
the
own
thing
one.
is everything that is wrong with this watch, it will still sell. And it will still sell for retail or above. And, you know, it, society will prove us wrong or prove that there's enough people out there with a weird, skewed vision of what watches should be, and they buy them.
I don't have an answer for it. I think that it's this idea that it's a Patek. It's gonna hang on to its value for a given set of value, and if you sit on it long enough, it's definitely gonna go up. And yeah, that's probably right. I don't know that I would have it. I don't know that I would wear it. I don't think so. It's definitely not for me. But
It's not. And we were sent a video about the movement for this watch, and I
yeah,
think the movement is probably the best part about the watch, but it's hidden underneath such a horrible, gaudy design that it really goes untalked about. And there were a few um, new innovations, I guess you can say, new
yeah,
patented ways of you know the movement
doing the
and
date and all that kind of stuff.
a lot of the date change and making it so that way you can safely set the date in any time of the day and how it absorbs shock and things like that. And I think the movement and what goes into the movement is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
But part of the thing that people were complaining about is that it's a round movement, and they could have made a square movement that would have been more interesting. But
well, but here's the thing, right? They developed the movement, and then 19 years later, after developing that movement, they said, "Oh shit, this has got to go on a watch. What do we do?" And then they left themselves very little window to design something to go around that movement, and that's what we got.
well, you can see this is also a little bit derivative because,
A little bit.
well, I'm imagining that the development of this took a long time. I don't think this was an 18-month lead time. I think this was probably longer,
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
which means that's going back to when the Santos was coming out and getting hot, when the Cartier and the square dials and the jump in value of vintage Cartier starts coming up. You get into that kind of space, and I could see somebody at Patek saying, "Okay, here's the trend. Let's follow the trend," which seems
Well,
it seems kind of awkward for Patek though, because they haven't
you think
necessarily
though?
done that in the past.
Then that's exactly because this is supposedly the brand that's touted as the brand that everybody else tends to follow,
Yeah.
right? They're the trendsetter. They're the first name in watch design. I don't know. I have a hard time thinking that they were trying to follow a trend, and they probably would have done better off if they had followed trends.
Okay.
It's like they just, closed the doors and shuttered the windows and completely cut themselves off from anything going on in the outside world. And when given a blank piece of paper, that's what their designers come up with. I just really do not like the design. They could have done a whole lot better. They they really shat the bed with this one, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, there is that. Yeah, it doesn't work for me. Thank you. Next.
Yeah. What's next on our list? You got the list in front of you there. I'll pull up the pictures here.
Oh, so let's see. Next on the list is the Earth phase.
Oh yeah. Well, talking about controversial watches, this has been going on for several years now. The Moon
Yeah,
Swatch.
it's like, okay, so we've got a moon phase and then a rising Earth, but is that a sticker? Is it a does it move? I don't know. I don't know. It's
So
it's not been my thing. These are not my watches. I'm not interested in them much at all. So
the story behind this watch is from Earth, the way we view the moon goes through phases, and that's where the moon phase window comes from. It's the moon as viewed from Earth. Well, if you're on the moon, you view the Earth through phases. So it's this watch shows you both viewpoints, the moon from Earth and Earth from the moon.
okay.
I don't like this one either. And this is probably the first moon swatch that I don't like. And from this angle that we're showing here, you can't really tell, but the Earth phase window does not line up with the moon phase window. It's not a symmetrical design. This actually sits a little higher on the dial than what the moon phase does. So if you look at
Okay.
a straight on view, you can see the difference. I like the idea behind it, and I think it would have been better if they had just if they would have replaced the moon phase with the Earth phase and
That
left
makes
this
that, that makes way more sense to me, but
as a subdial counter, and to have both on one dial, I think is a bit much. Um, Positives though, I do like the texture of the dial. And I do like the idea of what they were trying to do with the Earth phase. But like I say, just, replace it with the moon phase dial and call it a day. I think that would have been a better hit.
nah, don't like it.
To have them both on there is a
Yeah.
bit much and a little bit overdone.
I mean, this watch has never been for me. I want to like them. I just don't. They're plastic. They're cheap. and I don't think they're worth the hype. So
Well, see, I think they're worth the hype, and they are cheap. This is what, $300. When you compare it to what an actual Speedmaster costs, it's cheap, and it's not meant to
but
be
you can't compare it to a Speedmaster because the watches are it's like the Temu Speedmaster.
Temu Speedmaster.
Well, yeah, it's going to be a significant, like you're knocking off a whole magnitude of value off of the watch for something that you're not going to be able to repair, and that you're going to get these suckers just all over the place. Yeah, it's bioceramic, but it's still landfill. I don't. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. It seems it's all gimmick. It's all flash, no bang.
I don't know about that. It's not a watch meant to last, right? I get that. And when I say that, I'm not talking like it's going to last you a year or two and then it's going to, you're going to throw it away. This will last 20 years at least, if not longer, right? But it's
Right.
not meant to last in that, you can't service it. There is no easy access for swapping a movement in case the movement goes bad, right? I get that. I get that. And I don't think it was ever meant to be that. It was just meant to be an accessible piece of a large brand to draw people into. We've had this conversation, right? To draw people into Omega. And
Yeah,
it's done that. And
I think
it's
it's
done
done.
that. It
I still
it
think it's done.
but it did its job, and it did its
I don't
job
disagree.
well.
I don't disagree, and it's taken the value of Speedmaster and the value of Omega, and it's taken all those watches and made them more valuable. At least
Mhm.
it's raised their price by at least $300 each. But I think there's better ways to do it. I think there's a much better option for a watch that you could do with that. And if you could,
Oh, I don't know.
I think you could. I think if you did it in a metal case, I think if you Cerakoted the case, I think you could do all the same sort of colors things. You don't have to worry about this bioceramic
Yeah,
plastic.
but you're not going to get it at this price point. That's the whole point, is you're going to get
Well,
it at this price point.
yeah, but you could also fix it then. That's my thing. Like I don't
And
like the
how
fact
many?
that I don't like the fact that you can't repair it, that you can't replace the module, you can't do any of that sort of stuff. And that's one of my issues with Swatch. The System 51 has the same problem. Almost every other Swatch has that same problem. And I get it. It's a fashion watch. This design is a fashion house. Okay, fine. But I want to be able to fix my stuff. So that's all.
Mm.
I don't like it. Next.
Well, I like it. I don't like this one. So
Yeah.
I guess we somewhat agree.
No, there's that.
I don't know. Okay. What's next?
Let's talk about the Tudor.
The FXD, the
Zulu time.
new GMT that just came out. This is for the Marine Nationale, kind of the Aero pilots version of it. I know somebody who just bought this one,
Oh, really?
who also has the FXD Marine Nationale, the
Okay.
blue version of it.
Okay.
This watch makes me appreciate the blue Marine Nationale that much more.
I don't mind the black. I like the way it comes across. It's a titanium case, isn't it?
You tell me.
I
I'm
believe,
not 100% sure about that.
I believe it's a titanium case that's gone with that. It's not a bad watch. It's just a question of having that 24-hour subdial or that 24-hour hand, and looking at the way that the bezel is set up. It's like I'm not entirely sure who that's for, although it was designed with Marine Nationale. So
Yeah.
it,
Well, it's for them, clearly.
yeah, right. And so that means it is a tool watch designed by those that are going to be using it as a tool. And I just don't understand the use for it, like a dive watch with a 24-hour bezel. And so the only aspect about that makes sense to me.
Well, hold on. That's the Oceanographer GMT is a dive watch with a 24-hour bezel. So
Yeah,
tread
not,
lightly here.
no, I'm not. I don't need to tread lightly because that watch makes sense to me. That is a vacation watch. That's my vacation watch.
Maybe this is somebody's vacation watch.
Yeah, except not if it's designed that way. And so it's the issue, and the reason that they're calling it the Zulu time, that a lot of things that are going operational they're working off of GMT time. So you're setting the hands to GMT, you're setting the 24-hour dial to whatever time zone you want to keep track of. That's really the only kind of thing I can think of. It's like, okay, what is my operational time, and then what is the real time, or what's happening at home, what's happening someplace else. That's what I'm thinking about in terms of functionality for this watch.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense. I don't know that it's useful for anybody else outside of that. And maybe it'd be a fantastic vacation watch, but I think you could get almost any other.
Well, and you can say that for any GMT.
Yeah,
really, if you're being honest. I mean, what is the use for the average person outside of somebody who's going to use it specifically for what it's designed to be used for?
right. So that's the question. That's the question. And I think that this is for what it is. It's a massively over-designed watch. I mean, if this is going to be the watch that you take to go surfing in Hawaii, you could probably do the same for less. It's cool, but
I have mixed feelings about it. I think the one thing that really throws it off for me in terms of design is the font that's on that bezel. And I get that it's extremely legible, but I think if it would done in a different font, I might like it a little bit more.
huh.
What I do like about it is the strap. The strap is actually really cool. I do like that. I like the keeper that they have on there with the logo. I like the color of it. I almost even like the material of it. I
All
think
right.
that's really cool. But the font on that bezel just doesn't do it for me. Otherwise, I don't dislike it.
All right.
But with this release, I like the time only, the three-hander Marie Nationale just a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I get it, but it seems like it's a military subcontractor trying to make a vacation watch.
Okay, what's next?
Um, let's look at the Navy graph.
You put this one in there. I'm surprised
I did put that one in there.
you're bringing this up. So
Yeah,
why did you choose this watch to talk about?
because it's a new release, and it's a super compressor. They claim it's a super compressor, which makes it a fascinating choice because there's only a couple brands right now that are putting like a spring-loaded case back, and they're trying to make a super compressor in the style of the EPSA case, but it's not the EPSA case. And so they've kind of had to recreate a whole bunch of it because I think that there's still patents pending on the EPSA cases and that specific design. This one, though, it's a 38 millimeter case. And so you're claiming that it's the same case, or at least a very similar case to the yachting graph.
That's very much what it looks like to me, yes.
Okay.
And if that's the case, I feel like this will wear smaller because it's what, 38.5,
Yeah.
which is what the yachting graph is.
I
And
don't think it's,
the yachting graph to me wears very similar to my Dan Henry, which is a 37.
I don't know if it's going to wear smaller just because of the way that bezel's set up. I don't know. Maybe. To me, it feels like it's going to be bigger. And part of the charm of the EPSA cases and those other super compressors, like that dual crown super compressor that I've got, is it's so small. It wears incredibly small, but the dial has much more presence because there's just that lack. It's the internal bezel, and so the silver around the outside and the way that the crystal sits, the watch
And I think
watch
this is going to
looks
give you the
bigger.
same. I think this is going to give you the same effect. It's going to wear small. It'll give you more dial presence. I think it's going to do the same thing.
Hmm. We'll see. So it's an interesting watch.
Here's the the downfall of this watch, the handset.
Hmm.
It's such a plain
Yeah.
two-dimensional
Yeah.
handset.
Yeah. None of the images make it look really good. I mean, there's a point to it, and the loom sort of matches that point, but
but it's all stainless.
yeah,
They're even if they had painted the hands,
yeah,
white, even something.
yeah. I'm with you on that. I think
I
it
don't know.
would be better.
I think the handsets really let this watch down.
Yeah, I agree
I
with you.
want to like it, but I don't know that I would buy this one. Now the actual three-hand navy graph that they do is beautiful. Beautiful blue dial. The navy graph is written in yellow. The hands are done really nice. Why they didn't carry that over into the super compressor here, I don't know.
No, no clue. No
But
clue.
it's a
Think they
big
should.
letdown, that handset.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I kind of, the crosshatch crowns, it's got the same twisted lugs that the yachting graph has got. It's got the same thin bezel around it, the case bezel, not the inner bezel, but it's not a bit. You'll see. The yachting graph is on its way to you,
Uh-huh.
so you'll see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So cool watch, but it's just got that one, glaring flaw, which you're going to stare at constantly because
Yeah,
it's what tells you the time.
the
Yeah,
handset would be like if it were, I think if you're right, if they did the hands in with a little white to them, kind of
yeah,
the same way you see in a lot of the vintage divers of the day. It's a white hand and there's still loom in the middle. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I agree
yeah.
on that. All right. Next up is the Zodiac.
Oh gosh, so I'm glad you brought this one up
Yeah,
because stone dials seems to be the
it's the thing.
thing this year.
It's a thing. So this is in malachite and there's also a lapis. I think the lapis looks a little bit better, but the malachite's the picture just because why? Why have a tool watch with a stone dial? What are we benefiting from? Particularly a malachite dial, which is poisonous and hard to manufacture. Is this a oh we could?
I
I
guess.
want to. I don't understand. I don't understand why you would do that. I don't understand what the point of this is.
I am not a stone dial person. I do like this though.
Really?
I love that color. That deep emerald green is fantastic.
Would you prefer that over say like a sunburst? Because you could get that same effect. You could instead of doing like a radial sunburst, just do a horizontal sunburst. Same sort of thing.
Yes and no. Sunburst, it's hard to get a good deep color out of a sunburst. For instance, a watch that you and I both own is the Merlot dial Jetstar. Certain light, it's a fantastic deep Merlot-y red color. But when you get it into the sun, it lightens up and turns pink real quick.
Okay. So
So it's hard to maintain a deep color with a sunburst dial. I think this is going to maintain that deep color a whole lot better because that's its natural color. And it's not achieved through a machining of the material itself.
okay.
The sunburst is hard to do. And in some instances it's done very well, other instances it's not. Stone dials are not my thing. This particular one just looks really good. I like the natural
See,
lines that's in
I
it.
think they could have done just about the same with using enamel. They could have done almost anything else rather than doing a stone dial.
Well, yeah, but again,
Enamel
I
makes
think
sense to me.
like you said, it's a because we could kind
I
of thing.
guess. I guess so. I don't get it. I don't know.
And really, that's for any manufacturer that does a stone dial. Baltic was, not that long ago, they did the three different stone variants, and
Yeah.
why? Because
But
we can.
but also you're looking at that in more of a dress watch. And to me, that's the stone dial is more of a dress watch feature. It's not a dive watch feature. And so it's not so much that I'm questioning the stone dial. I'm questioning the stone dial in a dive watch. I don't get that. And it's, I can understand having a precious metal dive watch. I can understand having a gold dive watch.
What about a
Just
meteorite dive watch?
right, and that one's kind of weird too. I don't understand the functionality of that dial in particular. And I think that the meteorite thing has been pushed to a different extreme because of all the Speedmasters. Like, okay, it's a space watch. Let's make the dial out of something from space. It's like, okay, I understand that. It doesn't necessarily add much value. And I also don't care for meteorite as a dial. I don't like the randomness of the pattern. And I think that for a stone dial in a tool watch, I have the same issue. Now, okay, if it's an address watch, I get that. And that changes the aspect of it. It changes the way that the watch comes across to me. So I don't know.
I don't mind the different material in a dive watch. That doesn't bother me as much. It's bringing a little bit of design in a different way to what is otherwise a very simplistic watch design, very popular watch design, right? But I also get it, why stone? Again, because we can.
Well, but if you're going to do that kind of thing, I think that it was the Oris that did the ocean plastic. Or they did that as their dial, where they
Yeah.
recycled and got a bunch of stuff and have that really interesting colored dial. It's like, okay, I get that. That makes sense. And it's okay. We're going to use that to save the ocean. Blah blah blah. I don't know. I don't know. This doesn't work for me. The blue dial, to me, it looks better, but it also doesn't work for me. So
What I don't like is the PVD coating, all black. I'm not a big fan of all black PVD coated watches. I say that as I own one. Um, but generally as a whole, and I don't like it just because I'm afraid to scratch it. And that's why,
oh,
because I know once you scratch it, you can't go back.
yeah.
There is no fixing that. But I neither like nor dislike it. I'm right in the middle. Uh, but I like the color.
Okay. Well, there you go.
What else?
Timex.
Yeah,
This is for you.
okay.
This is for you.
This is for me.
Yep.
Please explain.
Oh,
I'm
well, because
almost afraid to know.
you're so much into Timex now. That's you gotta
Oh,
figure stuff out. Now, let's talk about this for a second, because this is throwing itself very firmly into the Swatch space. It
mhm.
claims to be bioceramic. It is a 40 millimeter case side to side. It's a nice tonneau shape. You've got
I will say
a
that
20
the
millimeter
case
hidden
shape
guard.
is nice.
And then also there's a detail on the side where they've got some striations on the, like, three stripes that are carved into the side of the watch. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad watch. And I think that there's one more version that's like black, and it's got something else as the numbers around it. The yellow one kind of works for me, but uh,
Really,
it does. It kind of does. I don't know that I would wear
Mi-
it, but I like it. I'd like
Mr.
to see one.
Mr. I don't like it because it's yellow. Likes the yellow Timex.
It's all yellow. There's no pop of yellow on that watch.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, if you're going for it, go for it. So
okay.
you can't argue anything about that sucker is weird because it's all yellow. I don't know. Kind of works for me.
I think I really need to evaluate how I affect your life if you look at this watch and think of me right away.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
feel
Absolutely.
I feel like these watches are really, really struggling with an identity crisis here.
Why, I thought of you.
Uh, I do like the case on these,
Yeah.
and that's about it.
Well, I'll be curious to see if they do anything else with them, and if they try,
Oh,
because
goodness, I hope not.
I think there's a quartz. What else is there? There's
What's
some
the
other
price
things.
point for these? Are these around $179 like most of their stuff?
119.
Oh, 119. Okay.
Uh-huh. The black one is it's the Mark MK1 by Fortnite with a fabric strap and then traditional lugs.
Hmm.
And then there's a quartz digital display in gold and in black. So they're interesting.
Those, they definitely are that.
$120. $120. I don't think so, but
No,
interesting nonetheless.
$12. I don't think so.
Well, that's
Even if you gave it to me for free, I'd find somebody else who wants it.
yeah.
Okay,
So
Joe.
as it made me think of you. It's all those Miami colors.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yep.
We need to have a real heart-to-heart later on after this show. Oh man. Well, that only leaves us with one left, and it's a watch that we have discussed many times before. The Yama Yachting Graph.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only reason why I bring this up is when I bought the first one, which is the white dial, I wanted to do a review video on it, which I started filming and I came up with a whole script and everything for it, and I haven't finished it. And now that I've owned it a little bit longer, I've made some more observations about the watch. And I want to change the way that I do a video. My my question is why haven't Yama sold out of these yet? They were done in a initial run of 250 pieces. Now, Yama was not very clear on if it's 250 total, so 125 per color or 250 per color, how that was divided up. All I know is you can still buy these. And a lot of the stuff that Yama has come out with prior to these watches sells out very fast. And you have to wait for that resupply to come in order to get some. I thought these were going to sell out real quick. And they haven't. And I'm just curious as to why. And jokes aside, I mean, honestly, why haven't these sold out yet? I don't know because it is a fantastic watch at a great price point, and it's bringing a yacht watch to your wrist for a fraction of the price.
Hmm.
And we've, like I say, have talked about this, and there are a few quirks about it which don't make it a true vintage yacht watch. But otherwise, it's really good.
Okay.
But
I've got
but
nothing. I haven't seen the watch. I'm still waiting. So
well,
I'll
from
be
from what we've
maybe I can
talked
answer. I
about
might be
and
able to answer the question when it shows up.
but from what we've talked about and what you have seen, I mean, you've seen me, post a lot of pictures and send you a lot of pictures and that. I mean, honestly, what is your initial reason as to why you think it hasn't sold out? You know what the specs are.
I think it hasn't sold out because it's a mecha quartz. It's a big eye. It's not a really good yacht timer. It's a pseudo wannabe yacht timer. It's sort of a best fit for a movement that we could get off the shelf. It's not a purpose designed or purpose driven watch. Now, if it had been, and these are all the things that you've talked about, like I don't like this sub dial, I don't like the placement of this, I don't like the way that that comes across. Great, and if they would have eliminated that, if they would have gone for the more classic design and more functional design of an actual yacht timer, it probably would be great because then there would be no gripe. Right, this is just a 3 sub-dial watch that they've drawn on to look like it's a yacht timer, but it doesn't quite function exactly right. It's off of the shelf parts. It's that kind of situation, and I think that that's part of the issue. It is a yacht timer. Well, it's not even it is a mecha quartz chronograph dressed up as a yacht timer. It's a costume. It's not an actual functional piece. And I think that that's going to be part of the issue that people have got with it. Because when you start looking at what it is from the specs, it's like, yeah, okay, but I can get something similar that I don't have the design issues with that I like better. That's my take on it. Well, granted, okay, I haven't seen the watch, and I'm curious. That's why I asked you to send it, because I'm curious as to what it's actually like when it gets here. So who knows?
Here's the thing. I almost have to agree with you. Yama
Hang on,
is
it's November. It's November 2nd at 9:35 in the morning. Mike almost agrees with me. File that away.
Yama is doing a lot of stuff recently, especially with in-house movements, in-house mechanical movements.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I think you're probably right with it is a mecha quartz movement disguised as a yacht timer. And I can't dispute that because the functionality of the timer itself needs to be broken down in a 30-minute timer, not a 60-minute timer. That's what makes this one very difficult to use as a yacht timer.
Right.
And there's no hiding it, right? There's no getting around it. It is what it is. I like that they went with this particular. So this is the Yachting Croiserie. I believe that's as close as I can come to pronouncing. And what that means is the Croiserie has a 24-hour counter, which is what this has at the 3 o'clock. Now, because of the movement that's in there, the dials are arranged differently than what the actual original version is. And the original version also, in fact, every yachting graph up to this one has an actual bezel on it.
Mm,
This one does not have a bezel. This is a bezel-less
yeah.
yacht timer. There are two register versions of the yachting graph. You have the running seconds and you have the timer. I think with their abilities in mechanical movements, they could have done something like that. And you're right, it probably would have done better. It would have been mechanical. It would have been slightly more accurate. I would have liked to see a actual rotating bezel on here like it should have been. That said, I still stick with, for the price point, what you're getting is actually really good. And I
Well,
don't have a problem with it being mecha quartz. I think that's a
uh,
better option than an all quartz chronograph.
well, except then again, you've got the subtiles that are wrong, and it doesn't work. It doesn't have the functionality, and so that to me, that's kind of the issue. It's like, okay, we're going to design this around this mecha quartz, and yeah, okay, you're putting it to a price point, and I get that, but I don't know, man. That and I think that there's your problem. I think
And I
that's the rub.
and the functionality thing, again, I agree with you. And I even brought that up without anybody having to say anything about it, right? I made mention of that it's the legibility of the actual regatta timer sub dial is just not there. But how many people are going to buy this watch and actually use it on a yacht to time the start of a race?
Nobody.
Very few people, right? If any at all. That said, if you're going to buy this for the aesthetic of it, for the look of it, I think they nailed it. And that's what I bought it for. I'm not going to get on a sailing yacht and go time a race. No, I bought it because you have all the ingredients of a good looking yacht timer and you sacrifice a little bit of the functionality. I'm not going to use it as its intended purpose. Like a lot of the watches, that we have it because we like the way they look. We like the design. It speaks to us in a certain way. And very rarely do we actually use tool watches as the tool they're intended to be. I'm genuinely curious to get your thoughts on it. After that, we'll see what happens with it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'll wait till it comes. I'll give you an honest review. Maybe I'll do the review.
There you go.
There you go.
I have an intro already filmed and edited for you.
Perfect. Perfect. That's what we'll do.
That is what we'll do. Well, I don't know. I think that's the last of our controversial.
That's all we got.
Let me close my screen on. Hey, here we are. Well, last calls?
I got nothing.
No. I've got a lot of things going on today because tomorrow I'm actually I took the day off. My daughter is running in her first half marathon.
Ooh.
She is a distance runner for school. So not her first running event by any stretch. She's been running since she's probably been 8 or 9 years old. She's been doing little kids races and things like that. And I just, for whatever reason, decided she wants to try something a little bit more ambitious. And I have no doubt she will finish it and have fun doing it. So I will be up and at the event at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. So I have to get up earlier than I would be if I were getting up to go to work, but it's for a good cause.
Well, if you want the race to go faster, you go the opposite direction. It's like you can fast forward through the race that way.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, it works really well for parades too.
Oh, okay.
So just go at the end and then just sort of walk towards the start, and you can fast forward through a parade. It's great.
All righty.
Hot tip. Oh, how do we get in touch, Mike?
Well, today, Joe, you and I are the Spring Bar Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at the Spring Bar Podcast. You can email us, springbarpodcast@gmail.com. On a personal level, I am 120 clicks, all spelled out, one log word, 120 clicks. Joe.
Watch Taylor EUPH at Instagram.
I had somebody ask me the other day what your Instagram name means. And it made me chuckle because it reminded me of the entire conversation we have of what your Instagram name means and how nobody suggested anything new.
True.
Are you just going to hang on to this? Or are you
nobody suggested anything new. So
should we try a round two? If you have a suggestion of what Joe's new Instagram handle should be.
And you can't get it first and then suggest I buy it from you. Let's just get that out of the way.
Okay. There you go. Put it in the comments, DM us, email us, whatever. Somehow, some way, let us know.
Yeah.
And then he'll change it.
Sure.
Oh, all right, Joe. Well, until next time, we decide to record as we roll out of bed.
Cheers.